And my name is Jeremiah Aoyang. I'm a serial entrepreneur and investor. I'm one of the general partners, investors at Blitzscaling Ventures. Today, I'm going to talk about AI, what it means for business and humanity. But first, let's talk about digital waves. That is the theme of the conference. My mission, my career mission, is to help companies connect to their customers using new technologies. And I did that way back in Web 2, one of the earlier waves. I was also in the first wave, .com, but we'll leave that for another day. I was a Forrester analyst covering Web 2. I started a company with some partners called Altimeter Group, and I plotted out what would this world look like when companies start to open their doors. Then came along the sharing economy. If you've heard of Uber, Lyft, Airbnb, crowdfunding, cryptocurrencies, where the people got commerce from each other, I created these graphics that mapped out the whole market of all of these peer-to-peer marketplaces. And I started a company called Crowd Companies at that time, which was working with many corporations and startups in these new business models, these marketplaces. And here we are today, the third wave, the AI space. I've been an investor in AI since 2017. I also did a TED Talk for the Frankfurt Auto Show for BMW in 2017 on autonomous vehicles. And now I'm a partner at Blitzscaling Ventures. I lead the AI team along with Chris Ye, who was just in Korea, and he is the co-author of Blitzscaling book with Reid Hoffman. Now, speaking of Reid Hoffman, he believes, and we respect Reid for what he's done in the market as a co-founder of Inflection AI, one of the early investors in OpenAI. He's on the board of Microsoft, and he's the founder of LinkedIn. He says AI is the most important tech development in the kind of the world in his lifetime, and maybe it will be for his entire lifetime because it builds upon the internet. And I think that's a great quote on how fast that AI, this wave, is coming to us. Look at this adoption chart. The red vertical bar is the adoption rate of ChatGPT. Just for comparison, other social networks took half a year to receive 1 million users, but GPT had 1 million users in 5 days. We've never seen such rapid adoption of consumer apps before in the history of the world because it is built upon the internet. It's built upon cloud, mobile apps, social data, big data. All of these things coalesced, all came together, which caused this rapid adoption. And it's not stopping. It's on its path to be over 1 billion users by the end of this year. Now, let's talk about how big this trend is and what it means to humanity. This is a slide referencing Chris Ye, and he sees this as big as the Industrial Revolution. And to remind you, the Industrial Revolution, we replaced human muscle power with mechanical power, whether that's steam, and then eventually created electricity. And the way that the world's economies and the way even the climate change from this and the way that products were created had significant impacts. Even the way we measure time and the way that schools are structured around the Industrial Revolution, our whole society changed. And that's happening also again. The AI revolution is as significant as the Industrial Revolution. But now we are replacing brain power with compute power. So thank you, Chris, for this astute metaphor, which I believe is what is happening in this future. All right. I am very involved in the Silicon Valley, San Francisco AI space. Here's some photos. There are 3 AI events in San Francisco every night. Every night, there's 3 events. There's 2 events on the weekend as well. There is a real energy around AI. I haven't seen this much excitement since the Web 1.0 era 23 years ago. This is an event series that I host called the Llama Lounge. Llama is in reference to the large language models, LLM, and the llama has become a popular character in which the whole industry has really unified around. And at my events, we allow startups to demo at these demo tables you can see here in the middle. And we have speakers, including some speakers that decided to stand on the table. I have my hands up here because I'm just worried that he's going to fall. And so here's some of the startups that are presenting, and we get to meet from these amazing folks. And this gives me insight to understanding what's happening in this market. VCs show up, press and media shows up, big conference organizers show up. So the whole industry, 200 folks come and meet for these events that I host on a regular basis. So I'm excited to present to you today, now that I have a better understanding of this market, the AI technology tech stack. This is a public diagram. You can find it on the internet. And I received feedback from the Stanford Continuing Education AI professor, as well as from Amazon Web Services on this diagram to give it feedback and improve it. So at the bottom layer of the AI tech stack, and this is a map, this is a way for us to think about this whole space, is the data layer. And this is the most important layer, and it threads up and down the entire stack. There's a number of types of data. There's public data, and there's proprietary data. Also, AI creates data, synthetic data. And I'm expecting to see a new type of data emerge. This is an investment opportunity or an entrepreneurial opportunity called proof of fact. This is when we might see that the AI would train against information that is known to be factual objectively, or it might reference information as it generates it that is known to be factual. There are some startups working on this. Now, here's a couple of important facts to note, that if GPT-4, if you took all of the data, the text-based data, which is a majority of the published information on the internet around the world, and you compressed it down, it would be less than 1 terabyte of data. It's rather small. That does not include video data and rich media or metaverse data. That is just text-based information. An important thing to note is that 80% of the world's data estimated is behind the firewalls, whether they're inside of companies, inside of tech companies that you can only access through login, or governments or militaries. The exact amount we'll never really know, but most of the information is behind the firewall. And that's one of the biggest opportunities in the AI space, is to tap that information, not just the public information. All right, so the next layer up is the AI infrastructure stack. Right now, this is a very hot category. Why? Because it's very expensive to train AI. It reportedly was $500 million to pre-train OpenAI. And last month, they had server cost of around 700,000 US dollars per day, which seems low. I'm sure it's much higher now. My friends who work in the data center business tell me that the wait time for processor chips, NVIDIA chips, could be up to 70 weeks. That's 70 weeks, over a year to wait for these processor chips. And the energy that you use is incredible. It's very expensive to manage this and to deal with even the carbon emissions. So it's important to have efficient machine learning operations. One of the key growth areas in this space is ML ops, in addition to these other areas that I basically touched upon. All right, the next level up is the AI model level. And in this one, these are the most common things that we talk about, the foundational models. Google Bard, Amazon will launch Titan, Facebook has theirs. Google also wants to launch Gemini, and there's Anthropic, Inflection, and over 30 different open source ones available on the repository called Hugging Face. And of course, not to mention OpenAI, the one that kicked everything off in November. There's proprietary models in open source. So these are expensive. These are rare. They are hard to train. They're expensive to train. So that market is pretty well baked at this time, meaning minorly mature, not fully mature. And we believe that there will be, each person will have multiple foundational models that they'll use throughout the day. For example, you'll have a productivity one, likely to be ChatGPT or Bard. You might have a personal intelligence like Pi. We'll talk about that in a minute. You might have one for your health and wellness that has very specific parameters on which you would share it with your physician or your coach or with your family. And when you go to work, you might be issued a foundational model, which they would take away from you after you've left that company as an employee. So within your day, you might have 4, 5 different foundational models, just as you might have that many email accounts or different social networks. All right, going to the top here. This is where the majority of the startups are. And in most cases, they're actually just AI projects, not even full companies. To date, there are 5,300 AI projects, as tracked by the website called there'sanaiforthat.com. You can go to there'sanaiforthat.com and find a whole directory of AI projects. And I call them projects because most of them are not mature enough to be a company. Now, I know the founder of that website, and he told me, Andre, that there is 1,000 new AI projects added to their database every single month. So by December, there should be around 11,000 to 12,000 AI projects by the end of this year. So this is where a lot of the growth that we'll see. Now, at the very top right is the emerging tech category. This is the area to watch, and I'll show you some examples in just a minute. These are called the autonomous agents. Autonomous agents operate with very little human supervision. You give them a single line prompt, and then it will create a series of tasks, then assign AI for it to go complete those tasks, often on its own. It's acting in a proactive way, which is different than the way that we're using foundational models where we tell it exactly what to do, and certainly a lot more mature than a bot, which is usually just based upon a script. So agents are the high-end area to watch. So bringing this all together, and you can find this on my Twitter account. It's public out there, and I did a blog post. This is the AI technology stack. I've received feedback from the Blitzscaling Ventures partners, Amazon, and Stanford. And this is the way that we see the market now. All right, let's have a game. So you get to guess in this next set of images. I'm going to show you some examples. And I know there's a lot of business people in the room, a lot of marketers in the room as well, a lot of digital professionals. So I'm going to show you some examples. Now you can guess which one is created by AI. I use Midjourney to create these. One of these is a stock photo. The other one is created by Midjourney. All right, so take your guess. If you think it's A, you could raise your hand. If you think it's B, raise your hand. I'll tell you who's right. B is correct. B is created by Midjourney. But it's pretty impressive. You can see all these wrinkles on the face. The giveaway is this necklace is not really from this world. All right, let's do another one. Which one is AI? Raise your hand if you think A is created by AI. Now raise your hand if you think B is created by AI. All right, the answer is B. B is created by AI, and it's very difficult to tell by the faces. But this collar is an indicator that that's not really a language that we know of. So B is created by AI, but the face is quite well done. All right, this one is a challenging one. Raise your hand if you think A is created by AI. Raise your hand if you think B is created by AI. The answer is A. A is created by AI. Pretty amazing. It is very lifelike. It's hard to do details. People were thrown off by this reflection, but that is a real person, a stock photo. Last one. Now, we often criticize these tools for creating hands that don't look real, maybe just 4 fingers, 6 fingers, or they're clasping in a weird way. But in this case, Midjourney did a great job. It's difficult to tell. Raise your hand if you think A is created by AI. Raise your hand if you think B is created by AI. The answer is A is created by AI. They did a fantastic job. I think the tell is right here. The sand just doesn't look realistic on top. It doesn't look dimensional on top of the finger. But other than that, it is quite well done. So the point of this is to show how good that AI is good at generating the reality that we know, and it's getting really close. I was on a webinar today and I heard that some of these tools only need 2 seconds of your voice to replicate your voice. 2 seconds. So basically means everybody's voice will be replicated, whether you like it or not. That is the likely future. Let's talk about some of the tools we're seeing. I know there's some professionals here in the marketing space. This one is being promoted heavily in the United States and Silicon Valley called Writer. And this one is enabling marketing teams and their digital agencies and contractors to use generative AI to create content in a collaborative way. So they built a social layer on top of the Gen AI tools. And you can see there's different templates in which people can work together to create content. And there's a way to have a common voice that's even being generated by AI. So this is an interesting way to see a social layer on top of AI. Another example is using facial recognition and body language and computer vision in order to determine what people are doing and thinking. I had a meeting with Paul Allen. He is the former entrepreneur who created Ancestry.com, and he's gone to create SOAR. And basically what SOAR does is when you're in a meeting, a Zoom meeting, it will analyze, one, the conversation, and it will use voice to text and document. Then it will also create summaries of what was said. And that's something that we're going to see already with Copilot, GPT, and Microsoft Teams. So that's already well known. But the interesting feature is that it would analyze the body language of those that are in the Zoom call. And I had this call with Paul, and then the AI automatically sent an email report to us after. And it said that I, Jeremiah, was engaged around 37% of the time. And it said I was taking notes around 40% of the time, which I was taking notes. And so it was a way to analyze my body language to see how engaged I was in the conversation. Now, this is an interesting way to identify which one of your sales or marketing or customer care people are they resonating with your customers. And you'll have data in aggregate on how well they are doing. So that's just a fascinating thing that you could potentially see. I hope we have time for questions later. I would love to take some questions if possible. All right, now we're going up the tech stack. I showed you foundational models. I showed you AI apps. Now let's take a look at a foundational model called Pi. And this is being created by Inflection AI. Inflection AI, the two co-founders are Reid Hoffman, one of the advisors to my firm, and also Mustafa, who is one of the creators of Google DeepMind. Google DeepMind plus Reid Hoffman is a very powerful combination, and so this is one to watch. Now, Pi is a personal intelligence. That's what Pi stands for, P-I, personal intelligence. And it engages in a pretty lifelike conversation. It's only in English today, it's not in Korean. But what's interesting is it will have a conversation with you. It'll say, hey, great to meet you. I'm Pi, your assistant. And you can choose between 4 lifelike voices, and you can have a conversation with you. It'll ask you questions. It'll be proactive. That's very different than the Chat GPT experience where it's waiting for you to talk to it. So you can see it's conversational. In this case, hey, I'm 30 years old. I'm making $80,000 a year. I want to retire at 60. Can you tell me how to invest? And it says, that's a great idea. I'm not qualified to give you financial advice, but I'll give you some general information on your risk tolerance. Do you have a 401k that's a savings vehicle? Yeah, I have one, and it's asking me questions on how to do things. And I also asked it questions like, hey, I want to buy a car. Which car should I buy? And it says, there's lots of cars out there, but I recommend the Tesla Model Y, the Toyota Highlander, or the Honda Odyssey, or the Subaru Outback, or the Volkswagen. Why did it choose those cars? We don't really know. We can't see the training data. We don't see how things are weighted. So that's, for those that are in marketing, this should be making you extremely concerned. If you're in marketing, you should be very concerned, because this is a different way to access the information from the internet, but we don't know exactly how to influence it. And I said, okay, please compare the Subaru versus the VW. And it should, sure. Subaru's Outback is a great option. It also has a more comfortable ride than the VW. The Outback has better visibility, better cargo space, and it just does similar comparisons. So that's pretty amazing to see that it's making those recommendations. The consideration phase is happening right in front of us in the AI. That is a fascinating thing to see. Now, if that wasn't interesting, now let's take a look at autonomous agents. If we remember in the AI tech stack, that is in the upper right. This is the emerging category about what's coming next. Meet Agent GPT. Agent GPT is one of the most downloaded projects from GitHub. Agent GPT, you give it one prompt, and then it creates a bunch of other AI and goes to complete those tasks. In the current model, as the freemium, it completes around 5 cycles. If you subscribe and pay premium, then you have access to more cycles. So it's commonly used in platformers to write code or to plan a trip or to do research of public data. So in this case, I'm going to say, let's do a financial plan. So I put this in here, this text, financial plan. And then I asked it, this is the only thing I wrote. These two fields are the only things I wrote. Create a financial plan for a 30-year-old who wants to retire at 60. Also, could you code an app? So let's see what it does, Agent GPT. So it creates this on its own. I didn't do this. It says, let's create a way to assess what is your financial ability, and looks at your expenses over your income. And then it looks at my assets, and that tries to build a model. And then it creates a bunch of tasks, assessing my current situation, creating a calculator, creating an app, creating a financial plan. That it says, go. AI agents, go. Go do those things, just go. And I don't even know if these things are happening. I don't have to watch it. It happens autonomously. It happens without the human. I don't have to hire a team to go do this. I don't have to hire researchers. I don't have to hire a financial planner. And I don't have to hire developers. And it's free. Now, if you are in those jobs, you must be thinking, oh my goodness, what does this mean? Let's take a look. So it created this financial plan class, which you, as I think you understand, is the underpinnings of the data requirements that it's going to find. And you can see that it's looking for the age, the income, expenses, the financial plan, and then calculate retirement savings, track investments, budgeting tools, and then it starts to code. It starts to code. It's creating its own software. And you can see it's writing in Python. And after it's done writing, I could copy that code, and then I could go implement. This is a big change in the world. And then you can see it gives us an update. It's finished the calculator. It's created a new task. It's executing the savings app. Oh, there was an error. Something bad happened. Then it finished the tracking app, and then it creates more things. And it can keep on going if you buy the premium. Now, this should put you in a feeling of uncertainty. What is the role of humans and businesses? I was just given some feedback to slow down my messages, and I will slow things down. So this is an example of AI on how it's working on its own without human interaction. So let's take a look at what Bill Gates says about this. Bill Gates says that AI could kill Google search and Amazon as we know them. And this quote, he was said during the Goldman Sachs on artificial intelligence event. And here's his important quote: whoever wins the personal agent, that's the big thing, because you will never go to a search site again. You will never go to a productivity site. You will never go to Amazon again, Bill Gates said. I think he's been waiting to say that for about 20 years. So this is a big change. And remember, at the opening of my speech, we talked about how this is as big as the Industrial Revolution. We're going to see complete industries be upheaved. All right. So I'm going to ask some provocative questions about humanity. And then I'm going to show you just one area where we're going to see changes, the marketing funnel. I understand from looking at the other speakers that there are a number of folks that are in the business side. So here's some questions. What role do we play, humans, business leaders, technologists, when the cost of producing content average content, or even good content falls to zero. The cost of producing average content will fall to zero. What role do we play when customers can create their own content in any format, text, video, audio, metaverse, 3D, and they can create it whenever they want on demand, and they can create it without businesses or media or marketers in the room? Now, for those that are in the digital space, where does this content come from? What role do we play when this web content is indexed by AI without following traditional search engine marketing? This is going to disrupt search engines. Now, what role do we play when AI provides recommendations, like I showed you was recommending cars or how to do financial planning, whether it's B2B or B2C? And then what role happens when e-commerce is integrated right into those AI models? That is the next phase. I saw an example of that at the OpenAI hackathon in San Francisco. The APIs were plugging in directly into e-commerce. So that's happening now already. And that is a plugin you can do with OpenAI. All right, so I'm excited to show you what's going to happen. This is my final framework for today. And this is the traditional marketing funnel. Now, first, I want to preface that every single industry is going to go through a change, whether it's automobiles, manufacturing, medicine, fitness, toys, games, movies. Everything is going to go through a significant transformation due to AI. But I want to show you one that's going to happen now. It's happening very soon, which is the marketing funnel. Because the marketing funnel fits across all industries. And that's how people shop. So here's the marketing funnel. You probably know this. At the top is the first mouth of the funnel is awareness about a product. The next is engagement with the potential customer. Third is the customer considers a couple different products and is making a choice. And then number 4, they actually purchase that. This could be for cars, electronics, TVs, clothing, or what music they're going to listen to. All right, so how does it work today? Well, today you go to Google or a search engine, or you look at ads everywhere. There's media. You might engage with an app, a website, a marketing campaign. And then you might manually compare those different products on your own, compare prices, where to shop for it. And then you would go to an e-commerce site, an app, or an online retailer, or maybe to a physical store to buy that. That's how it's done today. And by the way, that's a horrible process. That is a bad user experience. Google is actually a horrible user experience. Most of the page on Google is filled with ads. Then you're given 10 different choices and you don't know which page to click on. When you go to the page, it's filled with ads. The good content's probably at the bottom. You might have to sign up for cookies or delete cookies or read more. And then those ads might follow you around the internet for a month, even if you didn't want those ads. It's not a great experience. So what's happening now is that humans, and I showed you some examples, we are asking AI. We are doing the research with AI. And then in engagement, we ask the AI to come up with solutions on what do we need. And we might ask AI to actually compare the products. I showed you how I was doing that with Pi and Agent GPT. And then finally, e-commerce will happen within the app, and I don't have to go to Amazon. And so in the midterm, and it's going to vary by industry and when this happens, so I don't have a specific date, the AI will educate us about what's happening and our potential needs. And then AI will have a conversation with us and dialogue with us, and it will analyze what do we need. And in the midterm, it will shop for us. It'll compare for us. It will ask the different people who are selling the products, who is going to sell it at a cheaper price, who will deliver it faster, who will give better customer service. It will shop for us. And then finally, in this future, the AI will purchase the products for us, and it will arrive to our homes It might arrive to our office, and we will be surprised and delighted that it actually shopped for us without us having to even ask. That's the midterm, which I can see that is going to happen for just one industry, just the marketing and e-commerce funnel, which is a major portion of the economy. This is a massive digital wave that's coming. It means this digital wave is we're shifting from manual to hybrid to an autonomous marketing and e-commerce trend. That is one of these waves. That's just one, just marketing. Many other industries, every part of business is going to change. That is only one. So I'm going to close things with 5 final points. And if there's time for questions, I would love to hear from you. Number 1, this is a consequential technology. Never before have we seen anything in our lifetimes as big as this. It is like the Industrial Revolution, but now we're trading in our brain power for computing power. And it's growing at exponential rates. Number 2, it is a complex ecosystem. I'm in the heart of it in Silicon Valley. I go to 3 tech events per week. But the AI tech stack, that diagram that I showed you, that is your map. And now you can understand what's going to happen in this market. There will be 11,000 AI projects by November. It's going to get more complicated. And by the way, many of those projects will be created by AI, not created by humans. Number 3, it's pretty obvious the impacts to business. It's quite severe. We'll see reduced costs of content, questionable quality of content, and the consumers can build this content at any given time. And as AI agents emerge that are autonomous, the same thing. Obviously, this means a power shift. Humans will rely on AI and AI agents for decision making. This is a role that businesses have traditionally influenced. So they have to do something different now. They actually have to influence AI. So it means that businesses will create their own AI to talk to the consumer, the buyer's AI. We'll see the humans are here and the new AIs will talk to each other and coordinate with each other. And they'll have a new form of influence, and business and e-commerce will emerge. Lastly, this must be aligned with humanity. We're about to embark on some significant changes. Last week, the European nations put out a regulatory framework on which they expect the AI foundational models to follow. If it happens, I'll be surprised. I don't know if it helps them. It could slow down Europe. Their innovation is slow on AI compared to the United States and China. So governments, businesses, and societies must ensure that we humans are aligned with AI. What do humans do that AI does not do well? We collaborate, we create, and we can lead these tools to solve the bigger problems in society, such as our health problems, climate, resources, and more. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you today at The Wave. I'm Jeremiah.